for Project Mercury astronaut with his flight Mercury Atlas 7 on May 24, 1962, in the Aurora 7 spacecraft, proved that the United States could repeatedly launch personnel into Earth orbit and recover them safely. He was able to bring the mission back safely to Earth in spite of problems caused by malfunctioning pitch sensor and by effectively conserving altitude and fuel and managing his whole control during his burn. A pretty amazing feat. He later served as executive assistant to the director of the Manned Space Flight Center in Houston. In addition to his service with NASA, he served as a naval aviator and a test pilot. In 1965, he spent 28 days living underwater in the Navy Sea Lab, and he also served as director of the Aquanaut operations of Sea Lab 3 and was involved in active duties during that program. The awards we have are a commemoration of the 50th anniversary of Project Mercury flights in 1962 and for your long and dedicated service to the United States in the space program. I'd like to invite John Glenn to come up to the podium and accept his award.
It's a particular pleasure to be here this evening. It's always a pleasure to come over here. I don't know how many of you have been up to look at the Wright brothers' first airplane up there. But that and this hall here represent a number of firsts that are very important. And it's almost hard to believe how fast things developed after the Wright brothers made their first flight. It was only about 12 years until planes were dogfighting in France, the Lafayette Escadrille and so on in France, World War I. It was only about 24 years till Lindbergh and his machine right up here above us flew across the Atlantic. Just 24 years from the Wright brothers. Think about the Wright brothers plane. If you look at it up there, I'm always amazed at the one that's up in the gallery. You can't see it from here, but I'm always amazed at how they controlled that first flight. You know, look, he had a yoke on his hips, went back and forth and went to a wire up and worked the trailing edge of the wing. Try that in a 747 coming down. But then we went ahead very, very rapidly, and it was only 66 years until Buzz here and Mike and Neil came back in this command module over here. 66 years from the Wright brothers' first flight. And so there's a lot of firsts represented here that I get a kick out of coming back here and seeing. Chuck Yeager's X-1, the first plane to exceed the speed of sound, is up here above us, over my head up here, the orange one. So this is really a memorable hall. I, of course, have some very special feelings about this contraption right here on my left. And Scott does too. His was identical to that one also. But then we went on to back here in the Gemini and perfected some of our rendezvous techniques. And then this over here was the actual command module that they came back from the moon. And Buzz, well, you met all these people here. Buzz, stand up, Buzz. You ought to get them recognition. All this to me, though, the importance of what we're doing tonight here and what the NSS does, I think there's a different context I'd like to put in, a bigger context. And you go back to this country's forming days when there were only 2 or 3 million people along this eastern seaboard, and you think about how we advanced as a nation. Are there a couple of fundamental things there that we should learn today if we're going to continue to be a leader in the world? And I think there are. I think number one, the importance of the individual in this country was different than any place else, and that included education. And we wound up with the best educated citizenry that ever had been in the history of the world. And number two, and this fits very much into what we're talking about here, is basic research and exploration, whether exploration going out or mini exploration in our laboratories. And with those two fundamental things, education and research and innovation, we learned the new things first with an educated citizenry. Bang, we just created new businesses, industries, and went from a nothing nation at the time of the revolution to a world leader by 1900, just about 125 years later. And that's where this fits into what the efforts of NAS fit into, it seems to me. You're interested in making sure that people are educated, we know, and that our leaders know what's going on, know your views on this thing, know the importance of what you think about it. At the same time, sponsoring research and inquiry into the unknown, which is the real heart of what NSS does. And so it fits in perfectly with where we are right now, I think, and I think the nation that leads in these areas of education and research 50 years from now will be the world's leader. And I want to see that be us. And thank you, NSS, for not only this award today here, which I praise you very, very much, but also continue to work in these areas that contribute so much to education and to continuing research in the space program. Thank you very much.